This is a cycloidal drive with a reduction ratio of 30:1, and this is a smaller version with a ratio of 20. They are both fully 3D printed. Typically, the input of the drive is the inner pins. On this animation here, they are the red pins, and the outer pins shown in black are fixed in place. However, on my design, this is reversed. The inner pins are fixed and the outer ones act as the output. I think this setup could be beneficial in some applications. Robot arms, for example, where the arm could be coupled directly to the outer diameter. Like this, for example. On this video, I will do some backlash and torque tests of these two designs, and I will also show some variations that I made. For example, this compound version that has a ratio of 55, and it's very, very compact. Some of the components for this project were provided by JLC PCB. The ones shown here are the 3D printed parts. This one is in transparent resin, which is mostly for demonstration purposes and to see the mechanism in action. This one is in SLS nylon. I also ordered some parts in CNC machine aluminum. This is the cycloidal disc with red anodizing finish and laser markings. This one is the cam that will be attached directly to the shaft of the motor. This is the outer ring gear of the drive, which acts as the output. Even this large aluminum part with side tab holes was very affordable. Ordering is very easy with the automatic quoting system. You simply upload the file in STEP format or STL format for 3D printing and you get a price immediately. In my case, I selected aluminum 6061 as the material and then red anodizing finish. I also have a version in green. I selected the tightest tolerance they offer, but for that I had to upload a drawing. And as you can see here, the price is very affordable. In the drawing, I had to set the tolerances for the bearing pockets and also the outer cycloidal profile tolerance. This is what determines the backlash that we will have. To design the cycloidal drive, I used this tool on my website, which is able to generate the cycloidal profile and then I can download it. I included two large bearings to provide with axial and radial supports. These are standard deep groove ball bearings. And with this design, we have some empty space at the top. If we use a different type, like a cross roller bearing, then we would only need one, and the design would be more compact. The design of the outer ring gear could be done in different ways. In this case, I'm using a pin and bushing type of design. I think this, in theory, should provide the best results as it decreases friction and increases efficiency. And as I showed before, the other option is to have the pins integrated into the outer casing, like the CNC version shown here. I found this paper that compares these two designs. They call them pinwheel and non-pinwheel. For the pinwheel design, they just have bearings, and the non-pinwheel is just integrated into the housing. Based on their tests, they didn't find any significant differences between these two designs, which is good news because the non-pinwheel makes the design simpler. However, I still prefer the pin and bushing approach as it allows to have metal-on-metal contact if I decide to use the aluminum cycloidal disc. Another aspect to pay attention to is the pressure angle. I wrote a blog post about this on our website, and the example used here is the design I am showing in this video. This is basically the angle between the normal force between the outer pin and the cycloidal disc and the velocity direction of the cycloidal disc. The goal is to minimize pressure angle, as this will increase efficiency. To make this process easier, I developed this comparison tool. The idea is that you can compare two designs side by side and then see the pressure angle of each. So for example, here we have two designs that are exactly the same, but if we change the eccentricity value to 0.4, then we can see that design B has a higher average pressure angle. So in this case, design A would be preferred because it has a lower average value. I provided more details about this on the blog post, so feel free to check it out. This comparison tool requires a membership to my website, which is a good way to support these kind of projects. However, if you do not want to get a membership, you can still access this main simulator and get the same plots for a single design. Another design choice is to use a bushing or a bearing for the inner pins. On the design here, we have a slip bushing around the inner pin, and the cycloidal disc just has a hole. With this design, we need to make sure that the cycloidal disc holes are accurate, otherwise we will have backlash. And here we have a bearing embedded into the cycloidal disc. I prefer this approach as we can press fit the bearing into the disc, and then we just rely on the accurate inner hole of the bearing. Now let's see how one of these drives go together. To measure backlash, this time I will use an encoder at the input of the motor and at the output of the cycloidal drive. I will apply an external torque in both directions and measure the difference in encoder readings. Based on the nominal reduction ratio, I can calculate the backlash. This method is not perfect as I'm measuring backlash and deflection in the system. However, I think it's a good approximation. I made this program where I can see both encoder readings at the same time, store each set of measurements, and then the program automatically calculates the backlash. When I press to read the encoder, the program collects measurements for 3 seconds and finds the average. This is to remove noise in the sensors. The measurements here are using the CNC cycloidal discs. The measured backlash is 77 arc minutes, which is not great. After inspection, I noticed there's some play between the CNC cam and the motor shaft. The set screw wasn't tightened properly, but I also think that the tolerance for the center hole could be improved. So I installed the 3D printed cam, which uses the off-the-shelf coupling, and tested again. And the result is better at 50 arc minutes. On the fully 3D printed version, the result is much better, only 11 arc minutes. The benefit here is that we can fine-tune the cycloidal disc profile to remove any play in the system. The way to do this is with this contour compensation setting in the slicer. This is a disc with a nominal profile, and it shows some obvious play. And this is the disc with a 0.05 contour compensation value. And most of the play has been removed. After testing for backlash, I ran a stress test with a load of 4.5 kilograms at 155 millimeters from the center, so a torque of 6.8 Newton meters. I ran this for a little over an hour, back and forth in both directions. Then tested backlash again. I saw the result to get worse at 50 arc minutes. This could be due to either wear on the 3D printed parts or some screws getting loose. I didn't use any Loctite. However, it still feels very tight. This is what one of the discs looked like after the stress test. The stepper motor I'm using has a torque output of 0.42 Newton meters. That means that the expected ideal torque output of the cycloidal drive is 12.75 Newton meters. The measured value is 10.7 Newton meters, so that means an efficiency of 84%. The torque output on the 3D printed version is a bit higher at 11.1 Newton meters, so that means an efficiency of 87%. Then I also tested the non-pinwheel version in PETG and carbon fiber. The max torque value that I saw was 11.5, so about the same as the pinwheel version. I also measured max torque. I clamped down the input cam and applied an external torque. The max torque I saw was 23 Newton meters. After that, the 3D printed torque adapter started bending too much. But the cycloidal drive was fine and able to run without issue. The smaller version has essentially the same design. However, I am using the non-pinwheel approach for this one, and I am using bushings for the inner pins, as opposed to bearings. The expected torque is 8.4 Newton meters, and the max torque measured is 7.1 Newton meters, so that means an efficiency of 84%. I mentioned this compound version that I also made. It is very compact with a reduction ratio of 55. This video shows a good animation of how this compound version works, and it also shows the equation to calculate the ratio. But basically we have two discs coupled together. We actually don't need the inner pins, so that saves a lot of space. Then we have a fixed outer ring pin gear at the bottom, which makes both discs move together. And then we have a second outer pin gear that meshes with the second cycloidal disc, and this is the output of the drive. Unfortunately, this version that I made is not very efficient, as I can easily stop it with my hands. Let me know if you have any ideas as what changes I can make to make this design more efficient. Another version that I experimented with is based on this paper that I found, which has an anti-backlash mechanism. The idea is to implement a conical shaped cycloidal disc and then apply preload to remove any play in the system. In my version, this is what it looks like. The idea is to apply a preload on the cycloidal disc, so that way it will wedge against the outer pin gear, which also has a conical shape. Similarly, we have a conical shape for the inner rollers. The preload was meant to be applied with set screws that we place on this upper bracket. The issue I ran into is that the contact point between the set screw and the cycloidal disc will wear out very quickly as the cycloidal disc moves. So for this system to be effective, I need to find a better way to preload the disc. All of the files in this video will be available on my website. If you decide to get a membership, you can download all the files for free. Another way you can support these kind of projects is by getting one of these t-shirts that I've recently released.